Welcome to the May edition of the Hornet Spotlight. Just a quick reminder as the days of this 2015-16 school year wind down, some important days to remember for parents and students alike. One of the big dates in May, one of the things that we always look forward to in May is Spring Spectacular, and that is scheduled to be, I believe it is May 14th. That is a couple Saturdays from now. I probably overstepped my bounds. Even big night, probably a bigger night to a lot of people is May 7th. That will be the prom at the Indianapolis Public Library. I forgot all about the prom. Sorry, Dr. Feynman. But prom will be on the 7th. The following Saturday, we'll have Spring Spec. And then 2 Saturdays after that, we'll have graduation at 10 a.m. in the high school gym. Probably would be wise with all the construction that you come early to get yourself a good parking spot. And we'll have no problem getting everyone in the gym. It's the parking that'll be the issue. So reminder, we are under construction, but we have 3 big Saturdays in May. The 7th, the prom, 14th, Spring Spec, culminating on the 28th with graduation. On the 27th, we'll kind of back schedule here. The 27th, we will have baccalaureate. Seniors will have graduation practice at noon that day, which is a requirement to participate in commencement. Baccalaureate will be at 7 p.m. in the auditorium. For everyone else, final exams on the 23rd, 24th, 25th, and 26th. Make sure you check on your Chromebooks to get the dates and the times for the appropriate final exams. But we are getting down to the very end, and we look forward to ending the school year successfully as we started it out. So again, remember, prom, Spring Spec, graduation. We also, just one throw in, athletic seasons are beginning to wind down. The weather's we feel like we're just getting started with all the bad weather we've had, but we're going to shovel the hail and try to play some baseball and play some tennis and golf and run a little bit of track. So we're looking forward to winding up the sports seasons. We've got some teams I think could break out a little bit if they just got some decent weather to perform. So we look forward to those guys as well, and gals. It is my pleasure to introduce the Renaissance Committee selection for the Hall of Fame for the May of 2016. Our number 9 and last. I told Chris when we called him, we're going to save the best for the last. And certainly we have a worthy inductee in Chris Weller. Chris is a graduate of the class of 2002. And Chris has a very interesting lifestyle. He has a very interesting and varied life. He does a lot of different things. He's kind of a Renaissance man. So we are very happy to have him. He is a very worthy selection. And I would like to offer my congratulations. Thank you for being with us, Chris. As we talked before we went on air, you're a graduate of 2002. Talk to us a little bit. You mentioned this being in here is one of your favorite classes.
Yeah.
Talk to us a little bit about other things that you remember from your 4 years here at the high school.
Sure. TV production, definitely. I had a lot of good days. Roaming the hallways, doing B-roll footage, and coming up with all these wacky ideas.
Certainly, it's still going on, by the way.
Yeah, the wacky ideas never really ceased. As a lot of friends and family can attest to. But really, at Beech Grove, anything creative I was very interested in. As you know, my mother's the art teacher here, so I guess, am I obligated to say that was one of my favorite classes?
You're not obligated, but if you want a dinner or anything when you go home, it probably would help.
It certainly was, though. I didn't take any 2D classes, but 3D, doing crafts, jewelry, ceramics. I really, really enjoyed that. Anything that involves kind of bringing an idea to life, making it tangible is something I've always been very interested in. But one of the beauties about going to Beech Grove was being raised with really the same group of kids. So many kids. I started in kindergarten and graduated with them here at Beech Grove. And you just develop some friendships that will last a lifetime. And I can say that's very true for a number of friends that I have. While I was here, I got involved with some sports. I did baseball my freshman year and football, though I was never really that great at either of those. So I became involved with swimming in middle school and really stuck with that. big thanks to Oscar Bush Collins, who was a terrific coach to me during those years, and all my siblings as well. And marching band was really, I think, where I found my community in Beech Grove. Played trumpet, and Mr. Williams had the great, what should I call it? He was very kind to offer me the position of drum major, and that's really, I think, where I blossomed. It developed my leadership skills, and taught me a lot of things that I probably wouldn't have learned in the classroom. Perhaps, how to work with a large group of people and keep them encouraged and motivated, and kind of play middleman between the teacher and the rest of the student body. And that's something that I carry with me into even my professional years as an adult.
What you're doing right now.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll backtrack a little bit before we get into that. You've kind of segued beyond. Let's talk about your college career.
Okay.
We talked about that before and how far off track that was.
Sure.
And to what you're doing now. But talk a little. You left here. You went to a real nice school.
I did.
A great school and got a great education, I'm sure.
I did.
Talk a little bit about that and how you arrived at that decision.
Sure. Well, it was things like swim team and marching band that gave me the experiences to. I was fortunate enough to get the Lilly Endowment Scholarship, which really made all the world of difference for me, because I was able to suddenly afford a college like DePaul University. Went there having no idea what I wanted to do with my life. If you ask my mother about all the wild ideas of things that I wanted to do, she'd give you a long list. I went from geology to I studied Japanese for a while. I thought about doing East Asian studies, and I eventually settled upon political science. When I was at DePaul, between the years of 2002 and 2006, was a very interesting year politically in the United States. So it made for some very interesting studies and very interesting conversations. So ended up settling, I guess, for lack of a better word, maybe upon political science. And I never really pursued that in my career path. But it did create in me, I believe, a much better informed citizen and more aware of my civic duties that I might not have otherwise been opened up to. So today, in fact, being the day of the Indiana primary, I was very excited to go out and vote. I wish I had my sticker with me now.
There you go.
I do not, but I do believe firmly in engaging your community in that kind of way, whether it's conversations or just getting out there and being a part of that energy. I've not done a lot of world traveling, but I know enough about the world that is not only a right but a privilege that many people don't have. So political science major really kind of opened my eyes to a lot of those things. I was also involved with the swim team for my freshman year. Did a lot of work in radio. Got involved with some folks musically in college, and really started thinking a little more about how much music really meant to my life during that time. I'd say that's a pretty good summation of it.
I think so. And we'll just follow the line of thinking here with the music.
Sure.
A couple things you touched on. Number one, your interest in music and your varied interest in different types of music, and your friendships that you developed here. You are still cultivating both of those interests as we talk again. Talk a little bit about the music, where it's taken you, and kind of your aspirations along that line. Then we'll talk about some other things. But let's start with some music.
Sure. Well, as I said, I started playing trumpet in the band, and I got to know a gentleman by the name of Zach Sears, who graduated, I believe, in 2000, and he taught me how to play electric bass. And the very first time we ever played on stage, that I ever played on stage with a bass, was the talent show. Mr. Bradford was gracious enough to allow us to play a Weezer song, which we did. And I spent a lot of years playing music with him in various bands. And then when I got to college, I started playing with some worship bands and such there, and different folks from different avenues musically. And eventually, which we might get to, my move to Asheville, North Carolina, but that's when it really took off for me. I kind of put down the electric bass for a time and picked up the upright bass, started playing bluegrass and Americana and country music, and had the fine opportunity to tour with a small handful of bands, up and down the East Coast, kind of just experiencing the life of a musician, which is very interesting. I have a lot of good stories. It didn't quite pay the bills as well as I would have liked it to. again, another one for my mother to comment on, I'm sure. But very, very unique experiences with unique people, and playing music has opened my eyes and my mind in ways that so many other experiences couldn't. Whether it's just engaging with the person on stage, you are having a conversation with that person when you're playing music with them. You're opening your mind up to their different creative ideas. You're also having interplay with a crowd of people that you may not know a single person in that crowd, but you are equally performing and sharing an experience with that person, which I can certainly take that into my years now as a businessman. But upon moving back to Indianapolis, Beech Grove, really, in 2012, I eventually linked up with a fellow Beech Grove graduate, Brandon Wyde, and it's been such an honor to play music with him. I was knocking at that door for probably 5 years, and finally he gave me that call, like, "Hey, you wanna play bass?" And I said, "Yeah." So I played with him for about 2.5 years now, and it continues to be one of the most foundational parts of my life. I think is really exploring all these creative outlets, chiefly music among them, I would say.
And Brandon is, and you made the comment earlier, he's in Nashville?
He is in Nashville, yeah. He moved down to Nashville about a year and a half ago, and really working on his songwriting career. And I still have the great fortune to play with him when something comes up. Either he comes up here or we travel down to meet with him down there.
So how often does that occur?
I was just in Alabama last week playing with Brandon, and we're traveling to Florida next weekend. So, you get all these little mini vacations as well as a chance to really pursue something I'm very passionate about, and I feel very lucky to be able to do that.
And as you mentioned, being a musician is a wonderful life, but it's also a hard life. I think a lot of people see the glamour and the glitz and all the fun stuff, but it is not. It's kind of like acting or anything else in those fine arts that it looks nice and you read about all these people, but there's a lot of people banging on doors that aren't opening. So it's a tough life.
It is true, yeah. And I mean, you're fortunate to even a lot of times be on a stage with people that want to hear you, let alone to make a few dollars doing it.
Which kind of leads to where we want to go next, the businessman part of Chris Weller.
Sure.
We talked about the artistic side. Now we're going to talk about the part that pays the bills.
The real challenge. Yeah.
And something that Beech Grove High School's benefited from, quite frankly.
Okay.
You started, I think what you said, you're getting ready almost into your 5th year into your own business that you started basically from scratch, right?
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about the genesis of Pristine Clean.
Okay. Well, getting back to those years that I spent in Asheville, I moved out there to work for a magazine. And, I had my dream job. I had an office and a company car, and it was an outdoors magazine. So I got to really experience a lot of the things I was most excited about, which is hiking, mountain biking, paddling, all these things that, quite frankly, I wasn't able to do in Indiana. I really had to get to the mountains to do that. But, all good things often come to an end, and I was laid off. And I was exploring what my options would be, and I found a Craigslist ad for a person that needed a part-time janitor. So I started cleaning a church, and they're kind enough to allow me to go explore my musical endeavors, and then when I came home, clean for them for 4 days, and then go back on the road for a couple of weeks and clean, and the owner of that company became a very dear friend of mine, and he eventually entrusted bigger responsibilities in the company to me. I ended up doing his branding, his logo, a lot of the marketing, a lot of these things that a small business just needs a lot of help with. So he kind of granted that to me, and eventually I ended up managing it, kind of sending out teams, dispatching them to a variety of residences, businesses, schools, things of that nature in Asheville, North Carolina. And so I gained this skill set that I really hadn't considered before, team leadership, really learning what it takes to have superb customer service, to deliver on your promises, and things you can learn in various walks of life, but that is where I really got a handle for it. So eventually, after doing that for, I guess, a couple years, I had an opportunity here in Indianapolis from another fellow Beech Grove graduate, Chris Piazza. I got an opportunity through him to have a cleaning contract, cleaning his buildings throughout the city. And I kind of used that as my nest egg and grew from there, doing houses, doing anything I could get my hands on, rag on or dust on, whatever, what have you. Anything I could do just to bring in a little money and build the company. And eventually I got an opportunity to do a walk through Beech Grove High School. And through fortune and a lot of hard work and just keeping in touch with the right people, I was able to get a contract cleaning here. And that was December of 2012. And we started with me and one guy cleaning Beech Grove High School. And it was a unique experience to be back, let alone to be back at night and have keys to every door. So it's like, oh, this is how they did all of that, just really getting to know Beech Grove High School in a way that I hadn't before. So that contract grew. Now we employ 12 people, and we are hoping to be cleaning all 5 schools very, very soon. And we're also in talks with Mount Vernon right now. And so a company that started with 2 people, now come June we'll have about 30. And it's been a wild ride, and it's been more work than I ever imagined. But thanks to some really key members of my team and my parents for providing so much help to me during those years. And even I've employed my brother Nicholas, I've employed my sister Kelly, I've had work from cousins. So many people have really just come together to support this business. And now I guess in January I sold half of it to a partner, and now it's me and my partner Josh just growing this thing as big as we can and trying to keep that canon and that integrity and that promise to deliver that promise we had from the very get-go, trying to keep that alive and well. So,
And there's a Beech Grove connection in Mount Vernon too, right?
That's right, yeah.
That might help get your foot in the
Yeah,
door.
Brian Michael. He was assistant business manager here, and I guess he kind of experienced that when Pristine Clean says we'll do something that we do it. And so
true.
when they had a need, my phone rang, and I was very happy to go up there and speak with them.
Good things happen when you do the job.
I'm finding so much that it's really just delivering on your promises, which I even in my personal life, I could stand to do a better job, but we all work every day to do that. And in our professional life, certainly, it's a team effort to do that. And, if you keep the right people around you, and really, I'd say that's the story of my life. I was told by a very good friend that you are the product of the 5 people you spend the most amount of time with, and throughout my life, I've been very fortunate through guidance from my parents, through just fortune, circumstance, encouragement, and just, gut intuition to surround myself with the very best people I can. And really, I've become a product of that, and I believe my company is a product of that as well.
You forgot hard work. I remember when you were in here cleaning, I'm thinking that poor kid is in over his head. I remember having that very thought, and it's turned out well.
It really has.
I know our building's a better place because of it. And, I do remember, I'm thinking, boy, I hope he didn't get in over his head. I remember distinctly thinking about that one night when I walked out and saw you scrounging around trying to get things done.
Yeah.
So you, like I say, you're kind of a Renaissance guy. You've got a lot of different things going on. Talk a little bit about your house, because that's gotten some notoriety too. We're gonna drag everything.
Yeah. Well, my fiance, she has a heart of gold. First of all, and probably the kindest, most genuine person that I know. But she's also she thinks outside the box, much like myself, which is part of the way we get along so well. And we both always had this idea of different, alternative living, lifestyles. And we started talking about the idea of tiny houses at one point, and it really blossomed from there. It's like, oh, you're into that? Oh, I'm excited about that as well. So we started, touring different builders. We stayed in a couple, and it's actually Country Living Magazine. Her mother found this ad for a company called Tiny Heirloom, and we studied their website and had a few phone calls, and decided they were the ones to build our I guess, I want to say dream house, but this house we've been dreaming of for so long. And it just so happened that they're like, okay, so you can't tell anybody, but we're talking with an agent from HGTV, and if you're interested, we'd like to offer you the opportunity to be on this new television show that we're going to be on, this reality television show. And so we had to audition with them and the agency and HGTV and have all these long conversations about, why we're excited about Tiny Living, and we were accepted. And I guess last June, I believe it was last June, we went out to Portland and did some filming, and they came to Indianapolis and Beach Grove and did some filming, and lo and behold, there's a TV show on HGTV that we're seen by millions of people. So I still, the funny thing is, Sarah and I don't even have a television in our house, but I still have so many friends and family like, I saw you on this commercial the other day. Anyway, all that to say, we have a 250 square foot tiny house with she and I and 2 Australian shepherds and a cat, and we live off-grid here in Beach Grove. So we have solar power and water tanks and a composting toilet, and we found a nice little patch of woods, believe it or not, in Beach Grove that we rent, and it's been a really eye-opening experience. I've learned so much about myself. I'm a much tidier man now.
Right.
I really, really appreciate warm showers. It's been a really unique experience, and I'm very very satisfied with it. We'll see what happens someday when kids come along, but for right now, I think it's really changed my heart in a lot of ways, and made me grateful for a lot of things that maybe I took for granted before. Especially her. I mean, a woman like her that can live in that kind of arrangement really is just speaks volumes to her character. So,
speaking of which, we'd be remiss. You mentioned your family a few times. Tell us a little bit where they're at. I know we just had an addition to the family overseas. Let's talk about that just a little bit.
Okay. Oh man. Well, my family. If you were to ask me what the greatest blessing I've had, whether it's receiving this great honor or building my business or just the opportunities I've had playing music, what is the single blessing? It'd be my family. It's my mother and my father, the things they've taught me and the way they've been present in my life, and then having the siblings that I have. I have a younger sister who just turned 30, believe it or not, a brother who's 28, and another brother who I believe just turned 25. I wouldn't trade my relationship with my siblings for the world, and I mean that. It's probably the most genuine thing I've said since I sat down in this chair. Is Nicholas is out in California. He got married in October. My sister, no, he got married in September. Sorry, Nicholas. My sister got married in October, and that was the last time I wore this fine suit, actually. And Scott got married in Italy, and we are actually celebrating his wedding in June, I believe, and they just had a little one. I've not met her yet, but Mom and Dad flew over there, and I remember they posted a picture on Facebook of Mom holding baby Presley, and my comment was, well, Mom and Dad have already seen all the sights in Italy that they intend to see, so I'm very much looking forward to their return to the States, and my father just turned 60 last week, so my brother and sister were in town, and we went camping for the weekend, and it was such a joy. And they are also a product of Beach Grove City Schools. And every day I think we're grateful for that education and just the way we learn to be close to our community and even closer to our family. A lot of that came from this very building.
It's a nice little town. There's no doubt about it.
It is.
And it is a little town. It's you see the skyscrapers in the background, but it's still, you can drive down Main Street and you're in a little town.
Oh, yeah, I love it. Beach Grove, there's been some funny videos come out online that kind of gave us a bad rep a couple of times, but Beach Grove has an A-plus school system. We've got very friendly police officers, firefighters, Main Street, the revitalization happening there I'm really excited about, and just access to green spaces in this community. I can walk my dogs, it doesn't matter what time of day or night, and I can feel absolutely safe. I can send Sarah to walk the dogs or on a run, and I know that she's going to come back having a good experience in Beach Grove. And I never thought I would spend my 30s in Beech Grove. You know, I think when I was here, everybody wants to go, get out. But I'm proud to be a part of this community as a businessman, as a big brother and a son and a fiance, and you know, it's a real joy to be a part of this town.
Just kind of finish up. You're still a young guy. You're awfully young to be in our Hall of Fame, but you deserve to be, obviously.
Thank you.
What do you see yourself doing? What do you see for the company, your music career?
Sure.
What do you see 10 years down the road, say?
10 years down the road.
About, what, 12, 13 since you graduated? The next 12 or 13. What's Chris Weller looking to do?
My mom's going to see this, so I got to think carefully what I say. You know, with the business, it's been, you know, a couple really long, hard years. And that's not so much of a pat on the back as it is to say that, you know, when you build a business, you've got to be committed to having the grit it takes to get through that third year, which often is the hardest year for any small business. So I spent the past couple years really getting through that, and now that I'm getting to a place where my business partners taught me the real power of things like delegation and forecasting and efficiency and streamlining. Now we have all this great technology where you don't have to sit there and hammer on a keyboard all day. You can hit a button. So I'm finding that I have more time available to me than I've had in the past few years. I'd really like to spend more time pursuing graphic design, which is a big passion of mine. I like to design album artwork and posters for musicians. Playing more music, I'd like to spend more time on the road. Don't tell my fiance that, but so, I like to travel a little more, playing music or just exploring. I imagine there'll be some children at some point. I'm 32 now, and I know my parents, they got one grandchild, and they're probably looking at the clock wondering when the next batch are coming. So I imagine that. You know, we got this tiny house on wheels so that we could explore, maybe try homesteading in different places. So I believe Beech Grove will always be my home base, but there's just so much out there to see and do, and that's one of the things I'm working hard for, is so that I can experience so much of what this world and this country has to offer. Man, beyond that, I'm very passionate about motorcycles. I'm working on building a motorcycle. I've also had a mild obsession with falconry lately, believe it or not, so I might try to fly a red-tailed top.
You got a lot of things going on in there, Chris.
You know, like I said, all these wild ideas bouncing around. It's like you get a little time to sit down, you want to execute and do something. So, you know, in 10 years, who knows what I'll be doing, but I hope that that it's fun and that it benefits other people. And that I can meet some really exciting, interesting people while doing it. So.
That sounds like you're just going to continue to grow.
We'll see. I'll try.
It has been my pleasure on behalf of the Renaissance Committee to induct Chris Weller into the Alumni Hall of Fame. And again, Chris, thank you for coming in. We appreciate your time.
Thank you.
And we look forward to seeing what's going to happen with you in the next 10, 12 years. If you've done nothing else in your lifetime, you've got that art room cleaned up. That used to be such a mess.
Well, my mother's the expert on that. She'll let me know if it's clean or not.
I bet she does.
Oh, she does. We're doing our best.
Again, Chris Weller, class of 2002. And that wraps up the Hall of Fame for this year. Just to give you just a little bit of hint, we've selected next year's class. Our committee met about a month ago, and actually we're going to get a little younger even yet. So we're looking forward to next year and seeing some more people kind of out of Chris's era. He's kind of a trailblazer here, and it sounds like he's going to continue to blaze trails. But again, remember the big date for everyone here at the high school is the 27th of May, 28th of May, when we will graduate the class of 2016. Thank you for watching, and we will see you at the beginning of the 16-17 school year.
Oh, that's gone.